Music Theory, a complete course from grades 1 to 5. Lesson 58, Chords at Cadence Points. Following on from the previous lesson, you will also be required to choose 2 or 3 chords to fit a melody at the end of a phrase, which is called a cadence, and to name that cadence. The chords you have to choose from are the same as those in the previous lesson, i.e. 1, 2, 4, and 5. To make it even easier at this stage, you do not have to say what inversion of the chord you are using, because they are all going to be in root position. There are also set patterns of chord progressions that are used at cadence points, which you should learn. In grade 5 ABRSM Music Theory, you will only need the following progressions: chords 5 to 1, a perfect cadence; 4 to 1, a plagal cadence; 1 to 5, an imperfect cadence; 2 to 5, also an imperfect cadence; and 4 to 5, an imperfect cadence. Notice an imperfect cadence always ends on chord 5, even if there are various options for the chord preceding it. There may also be a third chord to choose from, just before the final 2, but this will start to become quite obvious, as you will already have used up 2 of the options, and you cannot put 2 identical chords next to each other, so that narrows down the possibilities. So how do you decide which chords to choose? Like you did in the previous lesson, simply follow a few simple rules. First of all, decide what key you're in. These will be very basic major keys such as C major, G major, or F major. Next, write out, just as you did in the previous lesson, the notes of the triads of chords 1, 2, 4, and 5. So for example, in C major, chord 1 would be C, E, G, chord 2 would be D, F, A, chord 4 would be F, A, C, and chord 5 would be G, B, D. Now the first thing you need to do is deal with the last 2 chords of the cadence and find which chords have notes in common with the melody line. So if there is a B in the melody, you find a chord that has a B in it. There may be more than one answer, but if you remember to use the chord progressions that we looked at earlier, that will narrow it down. Again, there may be more than one melody note for each chord, in which case just harmonize the first melody notes above the chord if they are moving by step, or harmonize both the notes if they are moving by a leap. Then, to work out the third chord, you apply the same principle as you did with the last 2, remembering that you can't have 2 identical chords next to each other. Let's try an example. Choose chords at the places marked with an asterisk to fit the melody line in the following cadence. Using our rules from earlier, first of all we establish that the key is F major. Then we write out the triads of chords 1, 2, 4, and 5. So chord 1 will be F, A, C, chord 2 will be G, B flat and D, chord 4 will be B flat, D and F, and chord 5 will be C, E, G. Now, first of all, we're going to look at the second chord. The note is G, so it could be chord 2 or 5. The third chord is the note F, and that could be chord 1 or 4. Remembering the chord progressions from earlier, the only permutation that fits is 5 to 1. Then, going back to the first chord, we have an F. Again, that could be chord 1 or 4. But since 1 has already been used, it's more likely to be 4. Therefore, the complete progression is 4, 5, 1. If then you are asked to name the cadence, you know that the progression 5 to 1 is a perfect cadence. Now it's your turn. Can you choose suitable chords to put at the 2 asterisks marked here? The answers will be 5 and 1. Now to see other videos in this series, click the card on the left, or for more practice on this topic, click the card on the right.